Let's wait for a while. Is it live yet? Yes, it's live.
Nice.
Hello. Yes. Okay. Hello, parents. This is Coach John here from Learning Out of the Box, and thanks so much for being here. And if you're just joined us from 11 to 12 today, so welcome again. And today we have a very handsome young man called Mike. Hello, Mike.
Very, very kind. Hello. Hi, John. Thank you for inviting me. You are very kind. I think you are just as, if not more handsome. Yeah. So thanks a lot for inviting me, John. Yes.
Yeah. So today we have our young friend Mike, and he's going to share with us something that is, I wouldn't say it's related to maths, yeah, but it's something that we parents have to battle once in a while. Yeah, and we are going to talk about procrastination, and he will share with us what are some of the smart techniques in overcoming this procrastination monster. Okay, Mike. So do share with us some of your background, and then how you end up doing what you are doing today. Then you can share with us like what are some of the tips that parents can take away.
Sure. Thanks, John. Yeah. So just a little bit history of myself. I spent close to 10 years in government service.
Oh.
Out of that 10, no, it is slightly more than 9.5 years. I spent probably 8+ years in the Air Force as a regular. So I was flying drones in the military for 8+ years. And I spent close to another year in another government sector. It's a stat board called Workforce Singapore, helping people to find jobs. So I was a career coach. Yeah, so all my ex-colleagues are now very busy with all the job losses happening. Yeah, and as I move along, I started to feel like, especially when I was in the Air Force, in fact, that was where I found procrastination one of the most something that I faced a lot. Right? And I because I'm a very reflective guy, so I thought a lot about my time in the Air Force as well. One of the things is I always wanted to leave, and I procrastinated leaving somehow. Yeah, because I wanted to do something that is more impactful, right? And in the Air Force, for me to make an impact to people's lives, I probably have to go to war, but that's not something that we all want. Right? So I want to do something that I can really make a real impact in people's life. I want to feel more fulfilled, like more meaning, right? Which was why when I transited, I was also very careful where I want to transit into as well. So I became a career coach. It was very fulfilling. And then I realized that I could do so much more. And then I realized that there are a lot of arguments within people, within families especially. Usually, the arguments that people have are centered around two topics. Yeah, two topics: how we spend our money and how we spend our time. Money and time, and how we spend it. If you have a lot, if you have very little, same thing, you argue over it. Yeah, how we prioritize how we spend our money and how we spend our time. In fact, I've gone through a lot of experiences myself. Yes, so what I do today is I help families to feel less guilty about spending time with their families, through proper financial planning. Right? So in a way, I cover both how to best spend their money and how to best spend their time. Yes, yeah, because just a little bit more background is that when I was growing up, my dad had very little time for me. I felt very distant from my dad, and that's because my dad is a school bus driver. So he wakes up at 4 a.m. He used to ferry workers to the factory, before he starts his driving kids to school. So I hardly saw him because by the time he's back home, he just have dinner, read a bit of newspaper, and then he goes to sleep. So a lot of times our parents, they don't really know how to communicate with us, right? And they don't spend a lot of quality time with us. Yeah. So and felt very distant for a long time. Yes. So I started feeling how can I help people to spend more time? Right? Today, my relationship with my dad is a lot better. We speak a lot more. He shares some of his challenges, his pains with me sometimes. He shares his joy with me sometimes, which I'm very happy. Right? The communication is very open. And that communication can only happen when we spend quality time and we don't procrastinate on it. Because we know that procrastination, right? One of the biggest consequences of procrastination is not getting things done, right? And not getting things done in the right time, it creates one emotion. And that emotion is something that none of us like.
Guilt, is it?
It's guilt is a byproduct of it.
Oh,
Regret.
regret. Okay.
Regret. Because regret is something that you wish you could have done something, but you didn't do. Right? A lot of times, if you think about it, regret this emotion, right? I term it as an emotion, right? It's a lot of times it's more of what I didn't do, what I wanted to do but didn't do, rather than I did this, but it didn't turn out as well. Right? The only time we feel that is we make a stupid mistake, right? Yeah. So, but most of the time, it's more of, oh, I always wanted to do this, but I didn't get to do. Right? So you feel regret. And I would say, based on my own experience, probably over 90% of the time, why I feel that regret is because of procrastination. So I wish I had done this earlier. Right? I'm sure there are a lot of things in life. Maybe it's because of fear, because of a lot of things, right? That you feel like, hey, wow. But once you completed it already, you feel like, hey, it wasn't that hard. I wish I had done it earlier. Right? So that is the emotion that we all feel. But I mean, talking about procrastination itself, it's something that all of us experience. All humans procrastinate. Let's be very honest about it. Yeah. Even the most hardworking people procrastinate. I know Bill Gates. I watched his documentary. He reads a bit of books, quite a number of books every day. He has his routine whatsoever. I'm very, very sure he procrastinates on something every day. Right? I'll just give one very simple example that one of the procrastination that I feel every day. It is getting out of bed.
Yeah, me.
Right? Yeah, I think everyone have this procrastination, and sometimes it's not just getting out of bed. It's getting out of bed to go to the toilet, to use the toilet.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll be like, so comfortable, maybe I sleep a little while more, right? Because to us, it's like, that comfort feels better than relieving our bladder, right? So a lot of times, I mean, this is one struggle that sometimes I also feel. We will look at our alarm clock or we look at our watches and say, hey, it's only like 2 a.m. I can maybe sleep a little bit more. When it's more urgent, then I wake up. That is a form of procrastination as well. Right. So the key thing that maybe I want to share today is to get to the root of procrastination. I gotta find what is the root of procrastination. Where I can share tips, the strategies, which I will do later in this section. I think we need to get into the root of procrastination. Why do we procrastinate? Right? Why do we procrastinate? The key thing is comfort. The key reason is comfort, because we as humans, we always value comfort. Right? Now, but if you look at it, the only way for us to grow, to achieve the goals that we really want, is only by, they always say, by stepping out of the comfort zone, by doing something that is uncomfortable to you. Right? So we have to know what is the reason. And then if you look at yourself, you look at your kids, right? It is always that people err towards the area of comfort. And that's what we want. Right? And before we even talk about overcoming procrastination, I was talking to John even before we got on the live. I was coming from the angle, because I'll be very honest, I don't have kids. Right? The only kid that I interact regularly with is my niece, who is 9 months old only. Right? So, but what I do is I deal a lot with parents. Most of my clients are parents. Right? And they procrastinate as well. And I can assure you the number of people I meet who procrastinate is a lot, right? Because of my profession, because I'm a financial consultant, right? So every time I tell people, you buy insurance, and then they're like, oh, maybe not now, I think when the economic situation gets better, they say, I won't get anything. Maybe when I get something, then I will get insurance. Say, but then it's too late, and that's where you feel the regret. Right now, so the other thing that I would like to talk about is this thing about as parents, and because I deal a lot with leaders as well in my previous career, right?
Mhm.
Leaders as well, is this thing that I usually call what we Singaporeans like, especially we like to call double standard.
Mhm.
Because if you are a parent, you are a leader to your kids, right? If you are also a leader to your spouse, because what you say matters.
Mhm.
A lot of times the challenge that we face as a kid, what we face is that maybe you ask your child to do homework, go and bathe, right? Keep their things, keep their toys. And then I say, later lah. Right? I can tell you when I was young, the 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 three words that my mom hates the most when she asks me to do something is 等一下, which is wait a while. The translation is wait a while. Wow, I tell you, that's her trigger to start taking out the cane. Now, yeah. So that is the trigger. She cannot, right? And then I realized this you kind of attract the same people that are like the people in your life.
Mm.
Because my wife is like that also. Every time she asks me to do something, hey, can you help to do the laundry? Then if I say a Tanisha, I tell you, that's where the face changed. And then I know, okay, I better get out and do something. Right?
Yeah. Plus, she may get a kin for you.
I hope not lah. Right. So at the end of the day, all these are mini episodes of procrastination that has been built up through as habits.
Yeah.
And we all have these habits of procrastinating, maybe just for a little while. And sometimes that little while drags and it becomes very long. And it's just like you scrolling through social media. Sometimes you tell yourself, hey, 5 more minutes. Or you watch you are watching on YouTube or Netflix. Then you tell yourself, one more episode. Right? How come you don't procrastinate on that one more episode? Because you prefer comfort. So that is the core reason for procrastination, comfort. Right? So how do you overcome procrastination? Now, I'm going to go from the root cause first. So I'm providing the context of how to overcome procrastination before we talk about the strategies. Okay? And how to overcome, right? It's all down to one word. Okay? It's one word that I think is in our society, men don't like to talk about. But I like to talk about it. It's called love. Like to overcome procrastination, you need love.
Mm-hmm.
Why love? Right? I'll put it into 3 levels. Right? How people usually overcome procrastination. Right? And what is not so sustainable to what is most sustainable. The first level is always the love of, let's say, material things. Right? Love of material things. Let's say, for example, and this is how sometimes we motivate our kids. If you achieve this thing, if you do this thing, I will buy this thing for you. I will buy this toy for you. I will buy this device for you, things like that. Right? So people feel like, hey, I need to move so that I can go to my area of comfort that I want. Right? So that is the basic level. And then we move on to the next level, which is more sustainable, because after a while, you cannot keep buying things.
Yep.
Right? Because you're going to form another form of the kind of what I would call the sense of self-entitlement, that, hey, every time you condition their mind that if they do certain things, they expect something in return. Now, the second level is the sense of achievement, love for the sense of achievement. Right? You need to know what drives your kids, what drives you yourself, right? And for some people, it is a sense of achievement. In fact, everybody is driven by some sense of achievement. That if I were to do this and I achieve the goal, I feel proud about it. Right? Especially if you put in a lot of effort into this thing that you're working on, this project that you're working on, or your studies, or it could be anything. Right? People are driven by the sense of achievement. It's like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Right? Beyond survival, there is things like social, so you have all your material things. Like I said, just now the first level of material things, so that you can show off to your friends, and then maybe your friends find that, hey, I want to hang out with you more. Right? Then you got the sense of achievement yourself, right? Which is the self-esteem part, where your self-esteem actually becomes higher. You feel like, hey, actually, I feel good that I achieved this. And then we need to move on. If we want, this is how we can make it even more sustainable. And this is, in fact, what most parents actually are at this level. I call it the love for how it makes others feel. It's a positive feeling, right? How it makes others feel. Imagine this, right? You can love the sense of achievement, but you love how it makes others feel even more. Which is why, as parents, we will do whatever it takes to ensure that our kids have the best, right? And that can help you overcome procrastination as well. Because if, let's say, I give you an example today, if your kid is feeling unwell, you don't say that, it's okay lah. We wait until maybe next week. If you still if you're still not well, then we go and see doctor. In fact, there are two things you probably will do. You say, hey, maybe you take a little bit of medicine first, right? Yep. Then we monitor. If tonight still not okay, we go and see a doctor. Or immediately go and see doctor. Right? Because of how it makes others feel. The people that we love feel. And some people love that feeling. Right? So this is the whole context of how we overcome procrastination. Right? And there's a lot of mindset tricks within, mindset hacks within to help us to overcome procrastination. And it starts from, some of your audience, probably know neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, right? The linguistic, how we talk, how we use our language to help us program our brain, right? Now, a lot of times, because what we procrastinate is things that we don't like to do, right? So we sometimes got to reprogram our brain, to hack our brain, to find that, hey, this is actually something that we change the language from, I have to do it, to, hey, I get to do it. Right? I get to do it. For example, let's say you procrastinate on things like, for example, getting your kids to do certain things, getting our kids to do their homework, right? And then sometimes you feel like you have to do this over and over again, right? You say, I have to ask my kids to do their homework, right? And then sometimes you can just switch that perspective around. Actually, is that, hey, I get to have a kid, my own kids, that I can have someone to tell him that this is a goal that you have to work hard for, right? This task that you have to do. Do you know that there are a lot of people who want kids but don't have kids, right? Sometimes it's just a matter of perspective, right? So just by having a shift of perspective from a have to do it to a get to do it, you get over this whole thing of, hey, this is this very, very sian feeling that you feel, which is why people procrastinate.
Probably I can share a bit of my own experience in how I motivate my kids while Mike takes a drink from Starhub, my God, Starbucks. Yeah, but parents, this program is not sponsored by Starbucks. Yeah.
Sponsored by Learning Out of the Box.
It's not a product placement. Okay, what I did for my second child, she's not very keen in doing homework. Yeah, but imagine if I say, let's go for ice cream. She'll drop everything that she's doing and she'll say yes. Yeah, so what works for me, sometimes, I don't use it all the time, is why not we do your homework, then later we'll go for an ice cream. Then you can see that suddenly, from a very slow turtle, she'll do very fast and get all correct within like 5 minutes, and then it's just done. Yeah, so sometimes it really confuses me whether is it that she doesn't want to do or she's really stuck. Yeah, so sometimes by putting the right motivator behind, it gets a child moving in my own experience.
Yeah. So sometimes what we have to do is to find their hot buttons. You have to find their hot buttons. Right. So for some it's maybe food, right? Like ice cream for your girl, right? Yeah. So to find your hot buttons, you probably got to ask certain questions, right? Certain questions that are relating to their goals in life, right? For example, you can ask them, a lot of times I feel we don't have enough deep conversations with the people around us, the people that we love, because we are also distracted, right? When we go for meals together, we'll be on our phones, things like that. right? We are distracted by people calling us, people texting us, or social media, right? If you could put that aside, sometimes a quality conversation doesn't mean that you need to spend 1 hour, more than 1 hour. Sometimes it could be just 5 minutes, it could be just 10 minutes, right? And it has to be in a relaxed environment because everybody has to be in the right mood, right? And just by asking certain questions, right? And this is also good feedback for you as parents as well. It's asking questions like, hey, what made you happy today? What made you feel happy today? Right. So as you gather information from these answers, you kind of know like, hey, what are the triggers that make your kids feel happy? Right. Was there anything specific that I did today that irritated you, for example? Right. Then this is something that you can avoid as well. Right. A lot of times, if you know kids, they are a bit willful, right? They know that they must do certain things, but they deliberately don't want to do it because they feel that it is irritating to them and they want to irritate you back, right? It's a bit like revenge kind, and they know that because it irritates you, because it irritates them first, they want to irritate you back, so they refuse to do it. Yeah, so you want to seek feedback at the same time. Say, hey, what irritates you? Right? Because at the end of the day, for a person to move to want to do something, right, they are driven by two emotions, desire and fear. Desire and fear. And it has to be a combination of both. Right? You must give them enough pressure to want them to do it, and they must feel that, hey, I want to do it. And if you combine those, that is how people are usually moved. You cannot just be by fear. Say, if you don't do, I'll take out my cane. Right? If you don't do, I'll confiscate your device. I'll confiscate your toys. Right? And then what you're actually breeding is a very anti-authority kind of behavior. Yes. So you have to have a mixture of both, right? Fear and desire. Right? Knowing that, and then you can also sometimes ask certain questions, right? Like for example, what is your proudest moment so far? Right? What's the proudest moment of your life so far? Right? This is all about knowing more about your kids. And the more you know about your kids, the more you are able to motivate them, the more you are able to get them to where they want to be and where you want them to be, but more importantly, where they want to be. Right? A lot of times, the biggest fallacy in leadership, right, or parenting as well, is that we motivate our kids the way it motivates us. You see the problem there? Because everybody has different things that drive them, different motivating factors. If we use the things that motivate us, the factors that motivate us to motivate them, we are assuming that they are like us. But a lot of times we have different personalities. We have to find out what motivates them first, and then we motivate them accordingly based on what motivates them. Right? And once we do that, we will find that actually it is much easier to communicate with them, much easier to get them to where they want to be. Yeah, because if you keep doing that, you always face the struggle. I want you to do this. Then for them, from their point of view, is I don't want to do it. Why do you keep asking me to do it? Yes, you gotta motivate, right? I used to have bosses who did that to me. Every time tell me that, hey, if you do well, you get compensated. Your salary this month will be much higher. You get your bonus, you get promotion, things like that. Okay. But it doesn't motivate me because I'm not driven by money. But if you tell me that, hey, do you know by doing this you can impact more people, right? You can help more people lead a better life. Then I feel like, hey, I really gotta do this. So you gotta find their motivating factor. Okay. And one of the goals that one of the questions that I like to ask when I speak to kids, I speak to parents, I ask them like, what is one goal that you like to achieve in your life right now, right? Because you must know that for kids, their goals may keep changing, with time, right? And then usually for kids, they'll answer two types of answers. It's either a role-driven goal. That means, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a YouTuber. Sorry, doctor and lawyer is probably our time, John, right?
Yeah.
So nowadays is I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a gamer, right? So this may be what their role-driven goal is, right? Now, when they do answer that, right, here is where you want to dig further, right? Because that is also one of the very damaging question that we as parents or teachers ask, right? Because look at how fast the world is changing. Right? When we were young, we were saying that, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? We even write compositions on it. Right? Teacher asked us to write composition. Almost every year we have to do it. We only have to do it in English, we got to do it in our mother tongue as well. And then maybe we go for tuition, then tuition homework also is do that same, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? Now, the damaging thing here is with how fast our whole society is changing, technology driven, things like that. What happened is that the roles that we are aiming for in the future may not be relevant in the future anymore, right? So for example, I give a very our time kind of example as parents, say that maybe when we were young, I say that, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, right? Maybe I use the lawyer example because this is what a lawyer friend told me, right? I want to be a lawyer. And then the thing is, nowadays, lawyers are also slowly being replaced by law technology, really. Yeah. So in a way, some of the junior lawyers are being asked to do more advanced stuff, but because there's a gap right now, so they are doing their best to close that gap. Where they used to review all those paperwork, things like that for the junior lawyers, but now they have to do the more high level stuff, and they were not trained for it. Right? They feel like they are being made redundant per se. Yeah. So at the end of the day, you gotta ask ourselves, rather than ask what is the role that you want to be, you gotta ask them to in such a way that it becomes an impact-driven goal that they want to achieve. Impact-driven. Like for example, what kind of impact do you want to make in this world? Right. So for example, a kid may tell you, I want to be a YouTuber. Right. So you gotta say, oh, so what is it about being a YouTuber can help you, let's say, contribute to other people? And maybe their answers could range from, hey, I can maybe be an entertainer. I can entertain people, cheer people up. Right? So that could be one answer. And then they could also answer something like, oh, because I want to share more information. Right? Now then you find out what really drives them. You know what are their hot buttons. So the next time you want to motivate them to do certain things, let's say their homework or work on go for their different CCAs, things like that, and they don't really feel like doing it because no matter how much we love certain things, you will feel certain form of dread sometimes, right? I'm sure there are days where Joseph Schooling, our national swimmer, feel like, hey, I don't feel like swimming today, right? But he still does it. Yeah, because maybe he's and I'm pretty sure that he's driven by a very strong sense of purpose. And when I talk about the love of how it makes the sense of achievement feels and how he cannot disappoint, right? How he can think of his past glory as an Olympic gold medalist, that how he's going to make the rest of Singapore feel again at the next Olympics. Which is why he feel that I can't let the nation down. Right? So it is the same kind of feeling. So you got to find out what are the motivating factors, what I like to call the hot buttons.
Sure. Yeah. Talking about hot buttons, maybe let me just interject for a while. Yeah, I think for parents, in my own opinion, yes, I think what Mike said is very important. As much as he's covering more on the hot buttons of adults, but I think it works the same way for children as well. And there's one book that I always recommend to my parents, and that's called The 5 Different Love Languages by the author Gary Chapman. This book was originally published back in 1992, long time ago, but it's still very much applicable. And what it says is that all of us have different love language, ranging for number one, word of affirmation. That means you praise your child or another human being. Acts of service, which means that you do something for the other person. Receiving gifts can be like you give something, maybe flowers, buy a bowl of wonton mee for your spouse or your child because they love it. Spending time with the kids, quality time as well as physical touch, which in my opinion it can be hugs or pat on the shoulder. Like for myself, and I have 3 girls, so my KPI every day is at least one hug per child. Yeah, so I think it's a very good book that I think if you love to read, just get hold of it from either Kinokuniya or Popular.
Yeah, actually you can go to the library. So this is the book. I think they have one for kids.
Yeah,
Just specialized for kids.
there's one for teenagers as well, I think.
Yeah, so they contextualize it for your situation. So you don't have to think, oh, how can I apply this to my kids? How do I apply to my teenagers? Yeah. Yes. So something just to add to having an impact driven goal. Why it's important to have an impact driven goal, right? It's not just to plan for them, right? But we have to. I keep going back to the same hot buttons because that impact becomes when there is an impact to it, right? You drill that impact driven goal to them over and over again. They tell themselves that, hey, this is the impact that I want to make. They are driven to a higher purpose, bigger than themselves, right? So for example, rather than say that I want to be a doctor, I say that, hey, I want to make people healthy, make sure that they lead a healthier life. So in the future, if they don't become a doctor, they won't feel disappointed. They feel that, hey, if I'm a physiotherapist, I'm also helping someone lead a healthier life, right? I can be a nutritionist. So there are many options. They don't close themselves up to options. And more importantly, they have emotions attached to that mission, right? And that emotions is going to drive them. And that is how people overcome procrastination. Emotions. It's all about emotions, right? It's all about, a lot of times, it is the emotion of being comfortable that pulls them into procrastinate. But it's also emotions that will push them to want to overcome procrastination, to achieve their goals. Yeah. So one of the small hacks that I use on day to day is that you got to be very self-aware, especially for parents, right? To set an example for your kids, you have to be very, very self-aware yourself, right? If let's say you tell your kids, you should not, you should get up on time, get out of bed on time, but then every day you snooze your alarm. It's not the best example, right? There needs to be congruence, right? So for example, getting out of bed, how do I get out of bed every day? Of course, every day it can be quite a struggle sometimes, but the moment I wake up, I open my eyes, I start to realize that, hey, it is very comfortable to continue staying in bed, right? So one thing that I do is that I count to 5 seconds, right? I say I'm going to enjoy this comfort for another 5 seconds because I know that if I go beyond these 5 seconds and I continue staying there, I got to get up within these 5 seconds. If I don't get up within these 5 seconds, it's going to be maybe another 10, 15 minutes or even an hour already. Right? And it's the same for every task. If you can start getting yourself moving within these 5 seconds, you count yourself 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. If you are not going to move, you are not going to move for some time. You're going to continue doing what you do. Right? And this is it is a muscle. You have to train this muscle. And so one of the things that probably because of my military background is that I train that muscle very well. And what I do is I make it into a routine. Right? And this is what I observe about successful people. It's always the routine. Right? They have a certain routine. I was just with one of my friends. He's younger than me. He's 26, going on 27 this year. His name is Eugene Cheng, right? He's Forbes 30 under 30. Very, very successful. And I was asking him like, hey, so everything that I talk to him, he has a routine for him. Even skincare, he has routine. Right? It's all the small things. And then workout, he has a routine. everything is driven by routine. So it becomes like automatic really, right? And it's the same thing. So how do you instill routine into your kids? In fact, all parents have already have done it before. You have the experience. It's just like how you get your kids to start brushing their teeth every day, right? It's the same thing. Think back of how you help your kids create a routine of first thing you wake up is to brush your teeth, go to bed, right? So that's how you create routine. Make that, some of these things are maybe the hardest, but you want to do it at the start of the day, get it out of the way. Make your kids feel like the rest of the day is going to be a breeze, right? I highly suspect that why, back in my time, we have morning class and afternoon class, right? They break up into morning and afternoon. But if I'm not wrong, everything is shift to morning right now already. There's no afternoon classes anymore. It's probably to get the most tedious thing going to school out of the way, so that afternoon is much more relaxing. You can go and do all the other things. And you have done your most tedious part of the day over by, let's say, 2-3 p.m. Yeah. So that's routine, because routine will always trump your willpower. You can have willpower. Let's if I were to give an example, and it happened to me as well. I read this book from Robin Sharma. Right? He's the author of the book, The Man Who Sold the Ferrari, right? A very popular book, right? He also wrote another book called The 5 a.m. Club, where you wake up at 5 a.m. every day so that you can have peace in the morning, you can do all the things. Wow, sounds very impressive, right? But then, and what happens is that you read the book already, you become very inspired that you want to wake up at 5 a.m. And then you want to start doing all the things that you want to do that you never had time for.
Very hard.
Very hard. Not sustainable, right? It is a very, very nice idea, but you have to find something that is sustainable. And there are some people who have done it and it has become a routine, but most people cannot sustain it. I couldn't sustain. I have friends couldn't sustain as well. One of the partners that I'm working with right now, I used to see their Instagram stories, right? Wow, wake up at 5 a.m. every day, go running, right? And then recently I see that they stopped already. So I asked him, his name is Brian. Hey, Brian, I thought you used to wake up very early. Say, but now go back to old habits. Sleep very late, wake up late. Yeah, so it's not sustainable. So you need to create a sustainable routine. And don't take too huge a step. Most people what they want to do is they take too huge a step. And that's why it's not sustainable. And likewise with your kids. Let them take, baby steps, step by step. Once they achieve something, let's say they reduce procrastination, or they start being more self-motivated to do the things that they are supposed to do. Take one baby step. And then what you want to do is to give them positive affirmation. Because that anchors into their mind that, hey, I did something right today. I feel motivated to want that positive affirmation again. A lot of times we don't give enough positive affirmation to the people around us, right? I can say that as humans, we don't give enough, probably as Asians or even Singaporeans, right? Because we are very wired to pick up all the different mistakes that people make, small errors that people make. We like to pick on people's errors, right? So when that happens, we swing to the extreme where we don't positively affirm the people around us, be it kids, our spouse, right? Yeah. So when that happens, they feel like, hey, there's no motivation for me to want to do it, right? Yeah. So a lot of things here. There's the positive affirmation part and there's the routine part. Right? All this is to help them get into a routine, keep giving positive affirmation, and that will help you to reduce procrastination by a lot. Yeah. I also want to share one thing about. So remember earlier I talked about desire and fear, right? Where you have to have these two combined together. A lot of times people think that fear is a very negative thing, right? John, what do you feel about fear?
Fear.
Is it a healthy emotion?
Actually, I think reminded me of someone asking me how I think about stress. Yeah, and I always see it as okay, because we teach maths ma. So there's this graph which is it called marginal utility or something? It's an inverted U shape. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think having an optimum amount of fear and or stress drives us into action, and I see it as positive action. But having too much after that tip, I think it's not healthy, because sometimes with too much stress, even physically the body may not be able to take it. Same as fear as well, because we know that fear can stimulate certain hormones, is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is not healthy, and I believe that it's not healthy for the body, because we don't want a child or any human being to feel fearful every single day. I mean, can you imagine how bad it is? A certain amount of it will be good.
Yeah, correct. You need to have the optimal amount of it, right? I have one story to share, which how I hack fear, right? What I feel about fear is that it is a healthy emotion when we know how to use it,
Yeah.
right? It is also because of fear that we do not go and do things that endanger our lives. Right? Fear keeps us alive. Yeah. So, God or whoever is up there created fear, this emotion in us, is to safeguard us. But anything that is too much, it actually paralyzes us.
Yeah.
Right. So, just want to share a story because I faced an extreme amount of fear back when I was in the Air Force in my career. Right. So what happened was that I feared getting out of the Air Force because I feel that my skills cannot be applied elsewhere. I find that it's a bit too niche. I don't know how to transit out. Right. So for a long time I feared and I did not take action. I procrastinated as well. And one day what happened was I was walking over to my mom's place, who stays 5 minutes away for dinner. Right? And then I was thinking again, I always want to make this career move. Right. But I'm very scared. I feel a lot of fear. What if I tender my resignation but I cannot find a job? I become jobless. That fear grow very strong in me. Suddenly another question start popping out in my head. The question is, what if I don't pursue what I really want? What if I retire at 50 years old in the Air Force and I don't know what to do after that? And then I didn't go and pursue what I want. The fear became even stronger. And that motivated me. Right? So a lot of times when we find out, let's say for example, our kids have certain fear. Right? Maybe let's say swimming. They say, I fear the water, I don't dare to go into the water. Right? And they say, I don't want to go swimming, I scared of water. Right? Sometimes it's also the way we phrase the questions. Say, what if one day daddy and mommy is not around and you fall into the water? Right? Who is going to save you? Right? How are you going to overcome drowning? And then they will feel that all the more I must master swimming. Right? So this is how we can hack fear and make it something that help us to move towards our goal. Right? A lot of times we are paralyzed by fear. That's why we don't move towards our goal. Right? One of the things that we spoke about before this chat was also about procrastination and paralysis, right? Where we feel paralyzed. I can't give you the scientific, explanation of the difference between the two, but I can tell you both has a lot of similarities, right? But the only difference, right? The only difference is procrastination is a result of wanting to stay in comfort. Paralysis is a result of fear. Right? Paralysis is fear because I fear, and when people fear something, it becomes more obvious. Right? That's where you have to find out more. You can't say that, hey, you're not doing your homework. It's because you procrastinate. Maybe they have certain fear. Right? Maybe homework. I don't know whether homework they have certain fear, right? But this is where the only way you can find out more is by asking, right? By asking questions to dig deeper, right? And by asking those questions, having those deeper conversations, that is how you create deeper relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
And that is how, questions, any relationship for that matter, the only way you can deepen the relationship is not by talking and talking and talking, telling the other person what to do. It's by asking questions, right? It's by being interested in the other person, right? What drives them. Right? Sometimes it is just by asking questions without you saying anything that this person, feel like so connected, right? And then when you say something, your words become gold because you don't really say a lot of things. It's just you make them feel that you care for them. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we all know that the worst kind of parents are those that keep telling their kids what to do, how they should behave, what they should be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We ourselves, we don't like it. However, sometimes, subconsciously, we don't know, right? Because there's no one at the side to give us feedback. Hey, would you like that if you were being asked to do certain things this way?
Mm.
Yeah. Yes.
Probably I can just add in one more thing about since Mike covered the 2 pointers, paralysis as well as procrastination. Yeah, I think let's talk about maths because I think because our Facebook group of parents are very in tune to maths and supporting their kids in the process of learning maths as well. I think like what Mike said, it's very important to find out actually sometimes when our kids don't want to do or seem like they don't want to do, is it out of fear or out of not wanting to do? Some of the kids that I've talked to when they were in my class last time, they are simply stuck because they remember the time that they got scolded by the teacher or the parents, or they were once told that they're not good enough, or they felt badly, or they were told that they are stupid or they're not good. Yeah. So I think this is more towards a fear. Yeah, versus for kids who sometimes just like to stay there and daydream. Yeah, and then just being in their own world and being immersed in it. Yeah, but whatever it is, I think as parents, it'd be good to really deepen the relationship with our kids and then figure out what's the root cause, and that can only be done when you work on the having stronger communication with your kids at home. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that one person that I want to credit is my mom, right? Her way of communication is quite different, right?
Wow.
Speaking about mathematics, right? I still remember this. Back then, during our time, we have the streaming system, EM1, EM2,
Yeah.
EM3, right? So back then, I did pretty well, but I couldn't get into EM1.
Okay.
At primary 5, however, I was very proud that I got into the best EM2 class, right? And what happened is that I was suddenly among the elites, right? The people who I always see in the best class, but somehow I managed to break in there. So I was like, wow, quite a different feel, right? And when it came to the first SA1, right? That was when the format of the maths examination papers format is very different. You have the 15 problem sum one. Yeah. I tell you, I have a fear of problem sum. And mathematics was one of my weaker subjects. And what happened is that first SA1, right, I still remember very, very clearly. I see this question, I don't know. I skip, go to the next question, I don't know. I can tell you, I left probably 50% of the test paper blank. I was in the best EM2 class. My teacher got a lot of pride, right? Most of the problems I could not finish. I left blank. I was just sitting there in blank, right? And what happened is that back then maybe teachers were not as sensitive. So what happened was that when the marking, everything is over, teacher was my math teacher, who was also my form teacher, was not very kind in the way she said. Right? She announced in front of the whole class that, most of you did very well except for one person. Yes, Although she didn't name me, but
you know
then
lah.
I already know it's me already. He say, in what I remember is saying along the lines of disgraceful. Yeah, don't belong in this class.
Oh.
Yeah. I still remember that
Yeah.
my grades for the test paper, 56 out of 100. Actually, I was quite surprised that I can even pass 56 out of 100. Everyone in the class is 80s and above.
Oh.
I'm only one 56 out of 100. Okay. And when it came to the meet the parent session, right, parent teachers meeting, I wasn't there. Right, I got the 56. I go back home. I don't know how to tell my parents. I don't know how to tell my mom. My dad was not very involved. Right? My dad was the one who signed report book one. So when last time I didn't score very well, I go to my dad. Hey, dad, help me sign report book. Never tell mom. Yeah, but I didn't know how to tell my mom. Yeah, I was embarrassed. I was afraid as well. Yeah, but so this story still give me goosebumps to this day. What happened was that my mom went to the parents teachers meeting, and these were the exact words that my form teacher told my mom. My form teacher was also my maths teacher. He said, SA1 only, I don't know how to help your son. I don't know how to help your son. Can you imagine how my mom felt then? Yep. But my mom didn't utter a single word of it.
Okay.
She came back, she consoled me, she didn't scold me whatsoever, but she went out to find her old friend, asked, can you please help to tutor my son? Right. That friend used to do tuition, but she has stopped already. But she went to plead with her, right? Because it's old friend. So I stay in the West. I stay in back then was in Bukit Panjang, right? I stay in Bukit Panjang. Every Sunday, I had to go, I had to travel 1.5 hours from Bukit Panjang to her place in Kallang. Yeah.
Plus last time got no Zoom.
Yeah, no Zoom lah. Yeah. So I had to change a few buses, MRT, wow. By myself, primary 5. Primary 5 is 11 years old only. Right? Every Sunday. Yeah, it was tough.
Okay.
But at the end of the year, I became better. And this story, my mom only told me when I was much older, after I graduated, after my PSLE. Right? Because if she had told me all those things back then, based on my personality, I would have given up on everything. Yeah, she protected me. Right? She protected me, and she showed me love instead of scolding me. Yeah. So I really, I really gotta give credit to my mom. Eventually, I dropped out of the EM2 class, but I became much happier. I went to a new class. I scored even better. Right? Better than I expected. And yeah, I was happy to be out of that class. That environment was not for me. And that form teacher was not helping me because she kind of given up on me. The rest of the year, right, she didn't communicate much with me. Because in her own words, I don't know how to help your son. Right? She didn't know how to help me. Yeah.
Probably, I think just allow me to share a similar story. Yeah, then we can cry together. Yeah. Okay. Actually, what happened is all along in primary school, I was in the top class one. Yeah, until P5 lah. Yeah, because I wrote my English essay out of points, and I still remember that the topic was about it's like a continuation about a dark like with dark sky with lightning and thunder, and then suddenly the light goes out. Yeah, and then I wrote until the next day. Yeah, but the point is, in the same class, I did my English oral test, and I actually was paralyzed with fear because I don't like to talk much. So I remember this English teacher who was also my form teacher, so similar experience, look at me, and he called me by my name lah. Yeah, it's not John lah, it's Zhongren lah. Yeah, so he said a few words which I remember until today. Why are you so hopeless? Yeah, so I guess we all have our fair share of meeting teachers who we hate, who didn't do, who we don't like. Yeah. So anyway, I went into another class, not the best class, and I did better than them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much on doing. We embrace what happened. We can't change the teacher.
Mm.
Then we go into an environment, and then things go better.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that, even though the topic is around procrastination, really what we are talking about more today is about communication, and how we communicate to help our kids, help the people around us to achieve more, right? And how certain words that we use can actually, stay with us for so long, right? For example, your teacher asks you, "Why are you so hopeless?" Right? It's
Mm.
something that is going to stick with you for probably your entire life, right? And
Yeah.
that's the same with our kids, right? Every time, let's say for example, they meet with a minor setback, and then they probably in their mind subconsciously they'll be thinking like, why am I so hopeless? Yeah, right. And for me, I was lucky that my mom didn't tell me these words right after the whole when my confidence is low. Because
Oh, wow.
if that had happened, right, she kind of prevented a disaster. Because if that had happened, then I can tell you my whole life, I don't dare to ask for help, number one. Number two, every time I meet a setback, I think that I'm helpless. Yeah. And it will take many, many years of conditioning of the mind to get past it.
Yeah. So you have a very wise mother. Yeah.
Yes. I'm very, very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And I think it's not easy to share a past story. Yeah. Something that we don't like.
Yeah. I think, along the way, as we I think along my line of work, and of course, what I do, I tend to start to share a lot more. Especially, I find that a lot of the lessons that I share is mainly surrounding around communication.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I may be a salesperson, but at the end of the day, a lot of things I share is about communication because, like I mentioned at the start, right? How I help people is mainly about how they spend time and how they spend money.
Mm-hmm.
At the root of it all is about how we communicate.
Mm.
A lot of times it's a lack of communication rather than over communicating or communicating the wrong way. Yeah.
So what will be one key step that the parents, I mean, any adults can apply right now?
Well, going down to the root, right?
Yep.
Is all going down to you can go Google, you can use whatever strategies that I mentioned, but what is going to one thing that's only going to be sustainable is going down to the root, right? Knowing what drives your child. And
Mm.
you can only do that by having frequent conversations,
Mm.
deep conversations. Deep conversations, I say again, doesn't have to be 1 hour long, half an hour long. It could be a 5-10 minutes. And then letting your child speak. Right? Maybe one question a day. Say, what made your day today? What irritated you today? Yeah. Let them speak. Give them the ability to air their thoughts. You'll be surprised what you can learn. Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing for me is also it's a common sight that in today's world is what adults can do is just put away the phones from the dining table. That will really help.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, one show that I recommend that I watched 2 days ago on
Uh-huh.
Netflix is called The Social Dilemma.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's
gaining
nice.
a lot of traction. Yeah, they talk about how we are all addicted to social media, especially, and how it is gathering data. All those things. Yeah, go and see yourself and scare yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah. So if you want to watch it, go on Netflix. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Mike, if the parents want to get in touch with you, I think it can be a few things, because I know that you are a speaker as well.
Mm.
So some parents may want to get in touch with you,
Yes.
speak on certain topics that resonate with them. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. I have my full name on Facebook, Mike Lee Yichuan. That's my full name,
Okay.
right? I am active on Facebook. I'm active on LinkedIn as well, right? So these are the two platforms that are more active. I also write a weekly newsletter to all my clients, but I welcome anyone who wants to receive those newsletter. So I talk about more unconventional, some of my thoughts lah. So I do a lot of self-reflection, and I write all of those thoughts into my newsletter every week about how we can better manage our money, how we can better manage our time, manage our relationships with the people around us. And all these are original, from original content where I just thought of, based on my experience, things like that, and putting it into words. Yeah. So if you are someone who reads a lot, right, you may want to sign up for my newsletter. It's totally free. Right. I don't sell anything whatsoever. It's what I send to my clients anyway. So if you like, you can just subscribe to it.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I've just posted your Facebook link as well as your coachmikelee.com URL.
Yes.
Comments below.
Thank you very much.
So, one more thing before we wrap up, and it's a question that I always ask my guests. Yeah. Okay. So right now I know that you have a lot of tools and knowledge to battle whatever you want to deal with in life. Yeah. So right now, PSLE is coming soon, like next week. Yeah. So the kids are getting stressed out. Parents are getting more stressed out.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's say if I invite you to walk down the memory lane and you bump into the 12-year-old Mike. Yeah, he's so close to you that you can almost touch him, and then he's looking at you in the eyes. What will you tell him? No right or wrong, can be anything.
Well, that's a very deep question. Yeah. I have not visited my 12-year-old self for very long. Yeah. No, I probably, the only two words that I have in my mind right now is have faith. Yeah. Because from what I recall, the 12-year-old me was not super stressed going into the examinations, PSLE, not super stressed. I would think that my primary 5 would be more stressed than my primary 6 because I was under that kind of environment. Primary 6, I had a very good form teacher. Yeah. So yeah, so I was just maybe lacking a little bit in confidence because of the episode that happened in primary 5. But I would say have faith. For parents wise, likewise have faith, just like how my mom had faith in me. She didn't give me a lot of pressure, so I am very thankful. I'm someone who doesn't thrive on a lot of pressure. I actually can break down. Paralyzed in some ways under a lot of pressure when I was much younger. Yeah. So my mom was able to finesse and adapt her parenting to my style. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that, and that she had faith in me.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks, John.
You can, it's really from the bottom of your heart and something that maybe you haven't gone in for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I've shared my primary 5 story a lot.
Yeah.
Probably shared it once at one of the Toastmasters lah. Yeah, but I didn't tell it very well. But this time, I think, yeah, it triggered the memories when you talk about mathematics. The phobia came back. Yeah, but guess what? I am in a job where I need to look at a lot of numbers right now.
Yeah. It's very strange because there's a guest who came online, and she's a interior designer, and she has guests. She has customers from all over the world. And she said that in primary school and even until Sec 3, she hated maths. But right now, every day she has to deal with maths. Yeah, the designing, the cupboards, every CM counts,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh my God. Because it's very strange how life will bring you back to what you are scared of.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's only to make you stronger. That's what I believe.
Yeah, life happens for us. Yeah. Right? Life doesn't happen to us; it happens for us. Yeah. whatever setbacks that you're facing, it is to mold you to be stronger.
Okay, so Mike, thanks so much for being here. And even though I think procrastination is something that's it's not a very popular topic if compared to how to ace maths, ace PSLE. But I think it's very important for me as a parent, as an educator, to bring on experts like you to share about things that are not very popular, but I think it's very essential for a child to grow up healthily.
Yes, I see it as a life skill, something that maybe in school we don't teach. Yeah, so I really hope that this is helpful. You can at least take away with something, just one thing that you can apply to yourself and your kids. Yep.
Yeah, and I guess for parents who resonate with your message, they'll take away a lot, not just one tip, but they'll take back a lot of tips. Yeah. Okay, so Mike, I'll see you around, and thanks so much for being here. And see you next time we can meet up, just for catch up.
Definitely.
And I will not ask you about maths lah.
Okay, great.
Okay, take care. Okay, bye
bye.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.